Nalini, the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister perhaps extremely hopeful when this case was mentioned in the morning that at least they get quashing of the FIR or may get some relief, but apparently no relief whatsoever so far.
Well, yes, Gaurav, and this is a big setback coming in for Manish Sisodia because he knocked the doors of the top court expecting that he is going to get some sort of relief, even for a few days if possible. But the Supreme Court said absolutely nothing doing. You have other legal remedies available for you. If we entertain this petition, then we are just going to be flooded with petitions asking for bail, even without other accused or other persons who are currently lodged in custody exercising their other legal remedies. So Supreme Court in a very clear line has told Manish Sisodia, go back to High Court, approach the High Court first, go through the proper process, and then if your case makes it to the Supreme Court, then you can always come back to us. We are here, but at the same time there are other legal remedies available to you. Why have you come to the Supreme Court directly? At 10:30 in the morning is when Abhishek Manu Singhvi had sought urgent hearing. At that time, on those little grounds, the Supreme Court had realized that there is an urgency in the matter, which is why they've sat now at almost 4:45 p.m. to hear this matter. And after this, they've said that there is no reason for Manish Sisodia to come to the top court directly. He can go back to the Delhi High Court. In fact, that's what he's been directed to do. He's been directed to go back to the High Court with his petition. In fact, Abhishek Manu Singhvi also tried to get an order from the Supreme Court where the trial court could be asked to decide on the bail expeditiously, but there has been no order passed by the Supreme Court to that effect at all whatsoever. They've said if you want such an order, go back to the High Court, make this plea before the High Court, and once the High Court order is in, and if it's not in your favor, you of course have the liberty to challenge that before the Supreme Court. But at this point, the Supreme Court is not going to interfere into this matter. It's a big setback coming in not only for Manish Sisodia, but also for the Aam Aadmi Party, because it's going to take him at least another day to file his petition before the Delhi High Court, and for the next 5 days it seems like he will continue being in CBI custody with no interim relief coming in for him from the top court of the country. It was the bench of the Chief Justice of India as well as Justice P.S. Narasimha that have both in unanimous voices said that it cannot be allowed for this to be done, because this will mean that the Supreme Court will be flooded with petitions asking for bail even when other legal remedies have not been exercised. And as the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia should in fact go ahead and follow the proper procedure. He should approach the High Court with his petition, and whatever the outcome of that petition may be, then he can decide as to whether or not it should be challenged before the Supreme Court of India.
So did Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister through his lawyer Abhishek Manu Singhvi jump the gun? Did they have grounds to approach the Supreme Court directly without exhausting the remedy of the Delhi High Court?
Well, Gaurav, you know, sometimes it's a risk that the lawyers take. Sometimes it works in your favor because, like you saw in Pawan Khera's case, the Supreme Court had in fact urgently stepped in and not just given him relief but granted him interim bail altogether and asked the court to release him on bail. So there are sometimes when this gamble pays off, but in this case it clearly hasn't, because the Supreme Court has said that there are legal remedies, and not just one or two, there are enough legal remedies available to you that you have not exercised yet. There is no reason for you to come directly to the Supreme Court, and for that reason they've asked him to go back to the Delhi High Court. There is no doubt about the fact that Manish Sisodia will approach the Delhi High Court, because his legal team is going to leave no stone unturned in trying to get him out. Even if it's a day earlier than they could originally, then that's still going to be a win for them. Even if one night less Manish Sisodia has to spend in CBI custody, they will take that also for a win. So they're going to leave no stone unturned to try and get him released as early as possible, and for that reason they will definitely approach the High Court, and in case they don't get a favourable order from the High Court, they will come back to the Supreme Court. But one important thing they will have to remember is that they'll have to follow the proper procedure, they'll have to follow the proper hierarchy, and they cannot be jumping the gun and knocking the doors of the top court directly just because Manish Sisodia is the Deputy Chief Minister of the national capital. That was one of the grounds that Abhishek Manu Singhvi was stating, that he has 18 portfolios under him, and there is a lot of aspects of governance that will be stalled with his arrest and with him not being allowed to carry on his day-to-day work, but that does not seem to have held filed any ground with the Supreme Court. They've said nothing doing, go back to the High Court. If there are actually merits to your arguments, the High Court, being a constitutional court, will recognize that and will grant you the efficacious remedy that you are asking for. But right now, coming to the Supreme Court, it does not make sense. So you can challenge the order of the High Court, but right now the petition is not going to be entertained by the top court.